Okay. We are recording.
All right, welcome to the kickoff for 2022 for Camp Wanocksett. My name is Danny Megan. I'm the camp director. To my right is
Andy Collins, assistant camp director.
We'll roll through. I see Will Neville. He's in my top left. Program director Will Neville. He's out in Seattle.
Hello, everybody.
Rachel Schreivogel, new name, same person since last summer, but got married, and we're so excited to have her back for 2/3 of the summer. Rachel, assistant program director.
Good evening.
And the chat master, Grace Audette, program commissioner.
Hello.
And our director of health services on our end, who will be with us for a good portion of the summer, Rebecca Lantry. Becky has 10, 15 years experience at summer camp at least. We are really lucky to have her back this summer as director of health services. I see the CIT director, Adam Morse.
How you doing, folks?
And our camp ranger on the shore of the Thorndike. He gave us the ice report, 8.5 inches of ice on the Thorndike. Ranger Mayo's here. And from headquarters, Aaron Langlis, our VP of program and camping, big supporter of Camp Wanocksett and Treasure Valley and all things camping in the council. And did I forget anyone?
I think that's everybody.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So let's get started. You have this one, right?
Yeah, so a couple of housekeeping items. We mentioned sending all the questions to Grace in the chat already. So throughout the night, please make sure that you're sending all those questions to Grace. She'll notify us with any questions. She'll interject as needed. The leader's guide is posted on the website. Grace, maybe you could throw that link in the chat at some point. Thank you. In the next couple of days, we'll go over this in a little bit more detail in a bit, but we'll be sending out an email to the person who is currently listed as the point of contact for all of the unit reservations. And we'll just ask you to confirm that the week and the dates that we have listed is accurate, both on our end and on your end, as well as to say if there's any changes to the contact information for your unit's leadership. We'll also be looking for a preliminary number, real rough, estimate about how many scouts or venturers that you think you'd be bringing this summer to camp. And finally, as many unit leaders here are from Heart of New England, even if you are not, it is OA election season for a lot of our lodges in the area. So be sure to schedule your OA elections, and that team can also do a camp promotional visit for the unit as well.
All right, we're excited. We've been doing a lot of work in the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 weeks to prepare for 2022. And I'm not sure if this is where it fits, but there's going to be questions later about the pandemic and how we will work with camp. And we don't have all those exact answers right now, but we're going to be working with the Boy Scouts of America, the state of New Hampshire, to follow all guidelines. So I believe we'll be eating with our cohort in the dining hall. I don't know about masks. We'll get that information from the state, from the Boy Scouts. We'll have another meeting in the spring to talk more about where we are with COVID and summer camp. But we had a great summer last year. Knock on wood, not one scout at camp tested positive with COVID. So we want to do that again this year. We want to be safe. We want scouts. We want to be at camp earning badges and swimming in the Thorndike and hiking Mount Monadnock. So we'll talk more in the spring as we get information from both the Boy Scouts and the state of New Hampshire. I'm not sure if that was a slide, Collins, but I wanted to take it right now because I know folks are thinking about it. It's going to be a very busy summer. These are new troops from towns that are coming to camp, or they're from troops that were with us in the past who are returning this year. So quick math there, it looks to me about 15 new units at camp. Now a couple troops are not with us this year because they either, for a couple troops folded up shop, unfortunately, and a couple troops are trying other camps. But we have a net gain of about 10 troops. And so we need information from you about the number of scouts that you think you're going to be bringing for planning purposes. Now, of course, you can always bring more, you can always bring less, but we're trying to find out where roughly you are in the next 10 days. That email will come to you and kind of give us some information so we can start planning both for budgetary, but really for campsites. And we're going to have lots of smaller troops. That's a new trend. Andy and I have been out to several troops in the last 10 days to visit. And we got troops that are awesome and they're excited. but they're smaller. We were out in Palmer, Mass, and we were blown away that they had 25 and they want to bring, I think, 20 to camp. And that was one of the larger troops in the last 10 days that we visited. So we're going to shoot you an email, but these are some pretty exciting troops. Hopefully some of you folks are with us tonight, but we want you to have a great time at Camp Wanocksett. Will Neville, the program boss.
Yeah, hi guys. Just to introduce myself. As many of you know, I've met me before. I'm Will. I've been around since 2005 on staff. In my off time, I work at a private school in Seattle as logistics coordinator. Rachel.
I'm Rachel. This will be my second summer returning as the assistant program director. And previous to that, I had the honor of being the camp director at Camp Split Rock. And this is my 9th summer in staff. During the school year, I'm an intervention specialist and behavior analysis out in Ohio.
We're going to spend some time talking about the program for this year, our staff, and then we'll pass it back to Andy and Danny. So first up, I wanted to introduce you to some of our area directors. We always say that they're our strength. However, we so infrequently prior to this have highlighted them. So I wanted to take that opportunity to do that this year. As you can see, all of our area directors are returning. Every single area director we have this year is back for another year at camp, and almost all of them are back leading the area that they either led last year or worked in last year. People like Maggie, who was our provost scoutmaster last year, she's a teacher in air in the off season. Eric, our aquatics director, is back for I think his 6th season in that area. So it's just a great depth of institutional knowledge that we have that we're really proud of. And it's definitely the strength of our staff and our camp. Collins, next. Rachel.
So for those new troops joining us this year, this is kind of a review of our schedule. So we have a nice balance between structured and unstructured time. We have 3 periods a day that scouts can sign up and earn merit badges. We always make sure that the merit badges the scouts come to camp intending to earn, they do leave earning. They always get their first choice. If you're venturing, we have other options during that time as well. And then we have unstructured time such as open program time and then patrol time activities they can sign up for as well for that nice balance.
So I just wanted to highlight a few things that we are happily and hopefully luckily able to bring back this year. Last year, unfortunately, we were not able to do field trips. The BSA modified a lot of its requirements to allow virtual field trips for different badges and ranks that required them. They have removed that accommodation, and luckily the state will allow us to take field trips this year. So we intend to go back to either the Dublin or the Jaffrey Fire Department for fire safety merit badge, one of the local farms for animal science, to either an art museum or an local artist colony that we have for art merit badge. And as you all know, we continued the trip to the old Jaffrey Cemetery, even through the pandemic, as it was an open to the public open air space. So luckily those are all back. Also the return of some of our favorite food programs. Ice Cream Glaciers and Iron Chef are gonna come back this year. And as Rachel mentioned, even though we were able to get to this point last year, there was a lot of build up to the return to normal for our program registration. We had various points, as I'm sure many of you know, where we were in small cohort subgroups, and that evolved throughout the spring. For this year, we are planning from the jump to have everybody gets their first choice merit badge, no matter when they sign up, whether it's Sunday when they get to camp, or whether you submit merit badge registration info a month ahead of time. That's the promise we make to you all, is that everybody gets their first choice merit badge. And we're lucky to be able to announce that in February rather than June this year, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, Dan.
And just in fairness, the state, they were thrilled that our merit badges, 98% were outside, open air. And that is when we were able to really loosen up things last year when we were outside. And so we'll continue that this year. That really helps.
Yeah. Next.
We have some, oh, sorry, go ahead, Will.
No, you're good, go.
So we have some great purchases that we're looking to make or have already made for this upcoming summer. We've had a generous donation of, I believe, 20 Chromebooks for this summer, and that will really just allow us to expand some of our program areas like our ecology and handicraft programs that just allow students to have more of a one-on-one ratio when they come to camp to earn those merit badges. We're also investing in a new water obstacle this year. As some of you know, our beloved iceberg has sank. So we're looking to find something to replace that. And we're also going to renovate our motorboats at the waterfront, tweak them up, get them back into better working standards as well. We also have a staff member who has experience working at a bike shop who took a look at all of our bikes last summer and let us know exactly what we need to get those in tip-top shape for the beginning of this summer as well. Our shooting sports will have the addition of a new clay thrower at the shotgun range this summer.
Real quick too, just want to mention, we just received a $1,000 donation from Cabela's in the last 2 weeks of some awesome program equipment. So we purchased some new PFDs, some tomahawks and throwing hatchets, some sandwich makers, some
Fishing
really cool stuff.
gear.
Don't forget
Yeah.
the bird feeders.
The bird feeders, yep.
Even
bird
though you're not
feeders.
supposed to feed birds in the summer, program director, you're supposed to let them go all natural. But you didn't read that in your Audubon guide. That was a shopping spree at Cabela's, but it's all right, let's keep going.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, sorry. So new program offerings that we're going to have this year. Our climbing wall is going to get the addition of simulated ice climbing on its rappelling face. That is all the equipment for that is already at camp. We have to set
So
it
how
up.
do we do? How do you do ice climbing in the summer? Tell us a little bit more because you can't just let that go.
Sure. Okay. So you have the picks, you have the boots or the crampons, you got, and for the ice, and then all of the climbing gear itself, the harnesses, the helmets, the rope, that's all the same. So what is done in the summer in an outdoor simulated ice climbing, we're not making a giant popsicle. You can take these dense foam mats and attach them to the side of the climbing tower, which allows the students to use the crampons, the ice picks, and simulate ice climbing up the side of the wall.
That's good. I like it.
Great. And we have all that. So once we install it, it'll be good to go. We're also going to be adding screen printing to our handicraft area and also deck hockey, street hockey. But deck hockey is the actual name that on our basketball court as well.
That's not misspelled. I had to ask earlier. That's what it's called. Deck hockey.
Yeah.
With a K.
With a K, no C. And then new merit badges, woodwork, and animal science.
All right. And you're going to visit the farm for animal science.
Yes.
Back in the day, it was called animal husbandry when I got it. Keep going.
Yeah, when the Grange was around.
Yeah, not quite.
If right now, Grace, you wouldn't mind, I want to have us pass out digital copies of our program supplementals. You'll all get the leader's guide here already tonight. It's our big 60-page guide to everything camp. However, for these first-year camper and supplementals and the Wanocksett Pioneer supplementals, and the Wanocksett Pioneers are our older campers, our 14, 15, and 16-year-olds. They are condensed versions of the things that we think are the best offerings for those age groups. They're age-appropriate merit badges, open programs, patrol times, advertised just to those groups. So you can share those with your units and with your scouts so that they can look at something that's 4 or 5 pages long rather than wade through a 60-page packet that has a whole bunch about camp that they don't need to know, or rather that they might not be interested in. So those are in there now. And whenever you want to look at those, feel free. The link sharing on those documents is on, so you can send those to anyone you want, and anyone can access them from our drive.
And Will, I just want to point out too, those links are also at the very end of the leader's guide as well on the last page.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you get them in the leader's guide here, however, those are available to you all. And I can also, after this, I'm sure we'll be sending a follow-up email. We can make sure to include those as well. Rachel, you want me to do it?
I got you. So a couple ways that you can give back. These are mostly going to be once you arrive at camp. So we're always looking for people that work in the occupations of some of our merit badge. So we're looking for someone that works in chemistry, someone that works in game design, and someone that has spent some considerable time somewhere else in the world. So the requirements of that is just giving a short talk to the merit badge class. And then drivers, we always need drivers for our field trips as well as our triathlon as well. And then some supervision for both of our Sunset Summit, which is our hike up the mountain, and our mile swim. So these are great ways to give back. And then we also have opportunity for adult leader service projects where you can give back by helping to improve our camp.
All right. Hey again, everybody. I'm Adam Morris, CIT director, if you just got in. This is my 17th summer on staff, and this is my 6th summer doing the CIT program. And so, starting last summer in 2021, we had both girls and boys doing the program. And so hopefully we'll have more, balance again and more diversity of gender in the program as we go forward. So we already had like 5 or 6 people apply. I was just looking at the applications last week, and we can take basically as many as want to participate. The deadline for applying, though, is April 15th. And if there's any confusion, the requirements for participating are you got to be 14 and no older than 15. And you have to be at least first class in Scouts BSA. And some of you might be wondering if you're a scout that is turning 14, like July 7th or 10th or 20th, that's a challenge to be able to do, because if you were to apply for staff the next year, then you wouldn't be old enough to apply for staff. You have to be 15 on that level. So you have to be 14 for, starting, June 23rd or whenever, staff week begins, and then throughout the summer, and 15 no older than that. So how it works, if you're unfamiliar, is you come for a staff week and get trained, and then you do 3 weeks basically of your choice. First come, first serve. If you want to do week 1, week 4, and week 7, week 2, week 3, and week 5, whatever combination works for you. 3 weeks plus staff week. So in total, it's a 4-week program and oriented around leadership training and customer service skills at camp. But of course, the skills are applicable back in Scouts home units and beyond in their communities. So it's a great opportunity. You meet really great friends. You live down in the CIT village, which is right next to the OA field, right on the water. It's a very beautiful location, and you get to work in all the areas. Each day you have a different area that you go to, and you still have the opportunity, if people sometimes forget, to take 2 merit badges in the morning. You can take first and second period merit badges to continue working on your advancement for all the weeks that you're there, those program weeks. And you can do COPE if you want to. And some even like to do it more than once. There's some other fun things that we get to all do together. I take the CITs up the mountain. We take them kayaking. We go to Seiji Island. So we do some additional things in and out of camp. Those opportunities pop up here and there. So if you have anybody in your troop that falls into this demographic or is going to fall into this demographic by about June 23rd, then consider sharing this information with them. And the CIT application is on the council website, but I'm dropping it here again in the chat if you'd like to copy that and send it to your folks in your troop. And you adult leaders, you'll be getting another message from me at some point soon, perhaps at the end of February, beginning of March, just a reminder about the program and the application. And once people apply, then by around April 30th, we'll have interviews for CITs as well. That's part of the process, and that will likely be over Zoom. So just stay tuned and let me know if you have any questions.
Adam, thank you. That was great. And this program feeds the junior staff who become senior staff, who become area directors and program directors and camp directors. And so it's so important. Last year, Adam, how many CITs do we have?
I believe we had 30.
Yeah, that was a good year. So we'd like to do it again, 30 to 40. So we have a few openings at camp. I know your time is valuable. I see it's 7:24. We still have some more to go, but we are looking for a nurse. We have nurse Becky, our director of health services, and she's with us for a good portion of the summer, but we would like to hire a full-time RN, and we are sending out information to all of the colleges north of DC and east of the Mississippi, and we have not had a lot of applicants. So any assistance, there's a reward from the camp director if you find me an RN and she takes the job or he takes the job. So please think about that. A rifle director, we're looking for somebody for the rifle range. This one is making me a little bit nervous too. It's February 6th. A rifle director, a nurse, an assistant dining hall director, must be 18 years old to use all the equipment in the dining hall, and some kitchen staff. So we have a few openings. It's a fun place. It's not all about the pay. It's about the experience and the great food and the friends and the fellowship. So spread the word about those positions, and I appreciate it. So Andy's going to give the talk, but every 7 years, every 10 years, there's a slight shift in the calendar. And last year we spoke about this at each of the meetings each week, and we made sure that we use the site reservation form with the dates on it. But within the last 10 days, I had a long email exchange with a really good troop who thought they were coming to camp the wrong week. We found the reservation form and it was the wrong week on their part, but on our side, it was the right week. We make lots of mistakes. I make them all the time, but in this case, the troop had the wrong week. We want to make sure that you know what week you're coming. So we're going to send you that email. It's going to have your, will you take it away, Colin?
Yeah, so like Andy said, it happens every 10 years, right? 9 out of the 10 years, the 4th of July is during week 1. In 1 out of those 10 years, the 4th of July falls at the very, very beginning of week 2. Last year was that 1 in 10 years. So now we're back to the normal. July 4th is week 1. Week 5 spans the 2 months. This works best with all the school schedules in the area for campers, for staff, for everybody.
And college.
Especially college, yeah. And this is actually the year that the college almost butts up the very end of week 7 for some of our staff members. So what we're going to do is we're going to send an email out to the current unit contact with the week number, with the dates, and we're going to ask that you confirm thumbs up, thumbs down with a Google form. Tell us, yep, that's what we have on our records. You are right, or no, we got to talk. We got the wrong week, so that we can catch it now and not the week before you come.
And an early estimate of the number of scouts you're bringing, because with Boston not running a camp, I showed you the 15 new troops that are coming. It's going to be tight. We have smaller troops, but we have a lot of troops coming to Camp Wanocksett. So we need that data to help kind of put together the grid. Let's keep going. But I made a mistake earlier and I didn't bring Mark Barmanitz in.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so my apology. We need to bring in the chief executive for the Heart of New England Council, our chief executive officer and scout executive. Mark Barmanitz has been waiting and I should have got to him earlier. I apologize. But big supporter of Camp Wanocksett and Treasure Valley. And I think
Mark should be able to unmute now, hopefully.
We have him here. I saw him.
There I am.
Yeah.
Got me?
Good evening, boss. You're on.
Hey, thank you guys. Really, really appreciate all the work that's going into camp this year. And this is so exciting. This really makes me feel like summer is going to be here soon. And it's cold and ugly outside, but thinking about summer camp and all the exciting program and activities that our scouts are going to have at Camp Wanocksett just really, really enthused me. So thank you for all the staff for what you're doing and all the leaders and coming to camp. We are so excited to have you. It's going to be a great year as always at Camp Wanocksett. So look forward to seeing you at camp. And as always, if you have ideas, suggestions, or if you have potential staff members, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks, guys. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, Mark. Where do we go next?
We left off on medical forms.
Oh, medical forms. This gets exciting. All right, Collins, take it away. And we got the Director of Health Services here to clean up if you make any mistakes.
Sure thing. So it says on the slide here that it's the same BSA form for 2022. It is the same BSA form. What we have done, though, we met back in October or so with all the camping operation. Aaron had a meeting down at Treasure Valley with all the camp administration. One of the things that came out of that was having one file for all of our camping programs for the medical form. There is a different Part D last year, which was for us at Camp Wanocksett, the EpiPen auto injector asthma authorization for some scouts. And at Treasure Valley, there was another Part D for over-the-counter and shooting sports. And what we found was so many of our scouts were cross-pollinating with all of our programs that we would get the Part D from Treasure Valley, and Treasure Valley, we get the Part D from Camp Wanocksett, and nurses and EMTs are pulling their hair out. So we simplified it. It's all in one file now. So there's Part D MA and Part D NH. So we have New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Make sure you're looking at that. The instruction sheet covers which one you need for which camp, but it's all in one file. Nothing else other than that one kind of operational change is different on the medical form. It's still valid to the end of the 12th month. It's like your car inspection sticker. You know, make sure you're getting your physicals.
So if I get my physical on July 2nd, that physical is good until the end of July the next year.
The next year, yeah, July 31st for the following year. It needs to be good for when you start coming to camp, right? So especially week 5, you folks who start in July and end in August, as long as it's good for when you first get there, we're good. We know sometimes pediatricians are like, no, you can't get it, 365 days, you gotta wait 366 days. Next thing you know, the kid is at camp. We're flexible with that. The list of common mistakes is again in the instructions for the medical form. I can't encourage you enough. Share the common mistakes page with your parents. Don't just give them the form, give them the instruction page with the common mistakes. Use that common mistakes as a thing to flag for us before you even send it to us. Is there a signature here? Is the date put here? Is the tetanus shot up to date? Stuff like that. Use that as a checklist for yourself. There is an immunization exemption process. It has not changed for Camp Wanocksett. There's 2 additional pieces of paper. If you run into that, let us know. We will get you those forms. It's 2 simple things. I mentioned the EpiPen and inhaler form. That's only for kids. It's not for adults. Only for kids. It's only for kids who have an EpiPen. It's only for kids who have an inhaler. You don't have to have it filled out if a kid doesn't have an EpiPen or an inhaler. And again, the top 3 things that were kind of flagged overall with all the med forms last year were, missing over-the-counter signature. The nurse can deliver OTCs with a phone call. You call, home to the parents if we don't have that, but it's helpful if we have that sign off ahead of time. Making sure that you attach a complete immunization record. That's a New Hampshire standard, which is different than the Boy Scout medical form. And we mentioned that in the instructions that you have to include a full copy of all the immunization records. It's really important for the kids. If you're older than, me or Danny or anybody else, you don't have your full immunization record because your pediatrician is no longer with us. We can work on that. We can find the records. We can try to help you out there. But it's really important for the kids. And finally, the tetanus shot being out of date. I know I ran into that myself last year with the pandemic. I didn't get to the doctor the year before, and I had to go to the doctor 2 days before I went to camp to get a tetanus shot. So,
And I don't want to get in trouble with Becky. We encourage the vaccine for COVID. And one of the reasons we encourage it is it's good to be safe, but also if you're exposed at camp but you're vaccinated, you can stay in camp. One of the few unfortunate things last year was we had a group of scouts who were exposed by an adult. Some of the scouts had their vaccine, some of the scouts, or one did not, and that scout had to go home because of the requirement of the state of New Hampshire. So if they're vaccinated and they're exposed, they can stay and we can test and monitor them on a diagnostic. We're not testing people coming to camp, but if they're in camp, we can keep an eye on them. And if they have symptoms, we can test them. And Becky, has the CLIA waiver for that or whatever proper terminology is. But we're not testing upon arrival, only if someone's exposed or showing symptoms. So, and we'll have more information as we get closer about what is going on with this pandemic when New Hampshire and the Boy Scouts come out with guidelines. We have great people in the council who are on boards of health and nurses and physicians, and we have folks above us who give us the parameters to work with, and that will come out in the spring. It's coming, camp registration. So Collins will talk a little bit more, but I want to make one plug here. Yes, I showed you a slide earlier with 15 new troops at Camp Wanocksett. We're going to have more troops probably than we've ever had, but many of them are smaller. And so if you have another troop that you know from outside of the Heart of New England Council that is looking for a camp, if you're one of the troops that is coming to us from Boston, from Spirit of Adventure, please spread the word. We still have what I believe between 9 and 10 open sites for the summer of 2022. And if it's a new troop, please send them the information. I'll drive anywhere to go visit them and to spread the word about the Wanocksett experience. We want to fill the camp, and we have 9 to 10 slots, and we've been busy in the last couple of weeks sharing Wanocksett and selling the camp, but we want more. Please spread the word.
All right, so the camp fee this year for early bird is $460, and that is on or before May 1st. We'll talk about some deadlines in the next slide or so. After May 1st, the regular fee is $490 per scout. If you have any new scouts who join after that early bird date, right? So if a Weeblos cross is over, or a friend recruits somebody to come to camp and join the troop, and they came into the unit after the early bird date, as long as they've joined scouts this year, we'll give them the early bird price, to try to retain that scout in the program. And then obviously we have our provisional program. Will mentioned Jacob and Maggie as our provisional scoutmasters. They're back this year. They ran an awesome program last summer. I think we had almost 85 or 90 scouts go through Provo. Some of them for 1 week. It was the only week they got to camp, or for some of them, it was their encore week. If they paid for Provo, the registration is open right now on the council website, on the camp website. If they pay right now, they're eligible for that early bird rate. After the early bird rate, if it's their 2nd or 3rd or 4th week coming to camp, they pay that early bird rate, that encore rate of $460. With adult leaders, we are continuing to have the same ratios as in years past, right? So unit gets 2 free adults up to 20 scouts, and then another adult for every part of 10 after that. So if you bring 25 kids, you get 3 adults. If you bring 34 kids, you get 4 adults for free. This year, the adult fee is $150 for an extra full week adult. It is a slight increase from last year, but it's going towards food. That's really all the adult fee pays for. And if you're not doing a full week adult and you just have an adult coming in for 1 or 2 meals, it's $9 per extra meal. We'll look at your roster when you check in at camp and find the average number of adults. So oftentimes what happens is a unit leader will come Sunday to Wednesday, and then they'll kind of tag out, and another adult comes in Wednesday to Saturday. We'll count that as 1 adult for the purposes of financials. They have to be both listed on the roster, but we'll count them as 1 adult because they're taking the same seat in the dining hall.
So we have a big meeting with Cafe Services, I think either this week or next week, but we'll be working with the same chef, John Visa. This will be his 4th year at camp in some capacity, for the last 2 years as the full-time chef. He's amazing. He's the food service director in New Ipswich. The chow is excellent, and there's plenty of it. And we're excited for Cafe Services. We're starting their 24th year at Camp Wanocksett doing the food. We'll talk more about dining hall operation in our May meeting when we get closer and we start talking about the logistics of camp during the tail end of a pandemic, I hope I'm saying at that time. But we'll be eating with our cohort. We'll be using the protocols put in place last year where we have adults serving the food, and that we are keeping our hands clean, that we're minimizing the movement of the food, and we call it modified cafeteria style. And we are really trying to limit the waste and making sure that the adults are the ones putting the food on the plate, and we're not serving, spoons are not moving around serving spoons. So we have a whole system in place. It worked really well last year, and when the Board of Health came and reviewed it from the state of New Hampshire, it was a full review last year. They liked it. I was happy with that. So let's, we're gonna get a picture of breakfast on there next year. I noticed there's no breakfast on there. I like the big breakfast with the bacon, eggs, home fries, coffee, oatmeal with raisins. All right, camperships in council, out of council. If there's a need, let us know. We want to help make sure the scouts come to camp. There's limited funds available, but please let us know. The deadline is April 1st. If you have a problem, reach out to me. We need to make sure that we have another 1,150, 1,200 scouts at camp, but we need to make sure all the scouts are at camp. It's a very special place. We need to share it and get these kids up on the Thorndike next to Mount Monadnock. It's been a long 20 months for them. And so we need to make sure we're back at camp with everyone. So don't leave any scouts behind, please.
All right, so for most unit leaders, this is the same as last year. We talked about this in our pre-camp meeting, but for those who are here for weeks 1 and week 2, this is probably the first time you're hearing of this. We tried out something last year. I'm going to give full credit. It was Will Neville's idea. he suggested one day, what if you were to offer a virtual pre-camp financial check-in, almost like a fast pass to unit leaders. And by the end of the summer, we got glowing reviews on how it operated, and we probably had about 40% of our units take us up on the offer. And it sped up their check-in time. More importantly, it got them into their campsites and out of the administrative paperwork part of the camp check-in process. You know, more time with their kids, get down to the beach, do the swim check, get to your site, set up your bunk. And so the way this works is at the pre-camp meeting, the 10 days before your arrival at camp, we will share with you a link that you can pick and sign up for a time to do the pre-camp check-in process. What does that look like? It is a Zoom meeting. I share my screen. We go through the financial process, the check-in. We look at the roster. We talk about the financial mechanics behind the scenes. It's about 20 minutes. You can invite anybody you'd like. I had one troop last year. It was the scoutmaster and the summer camp coordinator and the treasurer and the merit badge person and the medical form person. And other times it was just the one person who wanted to do all the check-in stuff. We go through all the financials. We make sure that all the receipts that you've paid for are definitely listed. All the camperships for kids that are accounted for are there. And then we provide you with all the paperwork and a hit list, a checklist of things to bring to the camp office when you show up on that Sunday. And when you do that, you spend maybe 5 minutes or less in the office on that Sunday. I relate it to like the Disney fast pass system. Like you skip the line, you come up, you get your folder, you give us the paperwork. It's a 1-for-1 trade. We look at everything. All the kids are here. Thumbs up. Okay, cool. You're all set. You're all checked in. It's less time in the office. Back into your site to get nested and take care of setting up your bunk.
On Sundays, when I enter the ad building and I see 6 or 7 people waiting to get in the sweltering heat, it's
bad.
It's bad. So we want to eliminate that as much as possible. So let's keep rolling.
So that'll be available this year. We'll give you the link during the pre-camp meeting before your time at camp. We recommend that you do it sometime between like 3 and 7 days before your time at camp. So the week leading up, when you know the number of kids have all firmed up and who's coming to camp and stuff like that. The major change on the leader's guide this year, and this slide and the next slide are going to highlight it. There are 2 pages in there that really detail for the summer camp coordinator, pages 6 and pages 7. Maybe Grace, could you throw the link to the leader's guide in the chat again for us? The request from unit leaders was, could you give us kind of a one-stop shop of all the deadlines and all the dates so I can really quickly reference what's coming up. And so we pulled together 2 pages of dates and suggested deadlines of things that you should consider as a unit leader for your planning purposes of camp. The big ones we've highlighted here. We talked about the campership deadline of April 1st. Adam mentioned the CIT application on April 15th. That early bird deadline of May 1st is really when the check and the payment is sent to the council office and received by the council office. We want to make sure that your families aren't giving you the check on May 1st. They should really be giving you that check before then. And you should have plenty of time to turn around a check.
A troop check.
A troop check, yeah. Not delivering 15 or 20 checks to the service center. That we don't want to do that to Lori. Poor Lori will, I think, jump out the window.
And the other problem with that is that if there's ever a refund, we want to refund the troop, and then the troop settles up with the scout and the family.
Yeah.
So it's not a whole bunch of checks. It's one troop check. And what often happens is somebody will not go to camp, but somebody else will go to camp, and it's all a wash in the end. And that's why we don't want to be chasing checks and refunds.
And kind of on that same note, right? One unit in previous years collected all the checks so late they didn't have enough time to clear the troops' bank account. And so the scoutmaster thought that they were going to miss the deadline for early bird, and they put the entire troops payment on a credit card. Please don't do that. The fees on that really hurt the program for the scout, right? That's taking the money away from the program. If it's going to be a day or so late because of a clearing of a check, just communicate with us. We'll work on it. The other major deadline is kind of getting the camp operation up and running. So June 15th, please don't send anything else to the Rutland office. After that day, Kelly and I will go through and pack all the files up that we have, all the receipts, and we'll transfer them to the Dublin office and open up the office then. After June 15th, mail it directly to Dublin, because otherwise it's gonna go to the council office, and where you have to, either Mark or myself or another staff member who comes up next is going to be delivering the mail, and it just delays things a little bit more. So after June 15th, just send it right to Dublin for as quick as possible. And then just a couple highlights from kind of that backdater for your planning purposes in that month leading up to camp. Really, 1 month out, you want to make sure that all your scouts and your adults are registered. Make sure that any of those transfer applications have been processed. Communicate with your registrar at the council office for either Heart of New England or your council to make sure that the kids and the adults are listed on the roster. We're going to be asking you for that MyDot scouting roster that shows the adults and the kids are registered. The adults, it's for the background check, which New Hampshire requires us to run. And the kids, it's for insurance. Right? We don't want a kid getting hurt and then, who's paying the bill? So 30 days out, make sure everyone's listed and start to chase anything that's missing. Also 30 days out, if you have any adults who currently live in New Hampshire or have lived in the state of New Hampshire in the last 7 years, they have to do a separate background check for the state of New Hampshire. That's a New Hampshire state law. It's detailed in the leader's guide. That can take some time to process. It's a piece of paper that has to get notarized and mailed to New Hampshire, and then you have to wait for the thing to come back, and then you provide us with the results. It can take some time. I know last year, some folks got it within 5 days and other folks got it within 20 days. So make sure those things are in process. 14 days before your arrival, and this is a change kind of in operation this year that we learned worked out really well last year. We want your medical forms at camp 14 days out. So 2 full weeks before you come to camp. What does that do for us? That helps our camp nurse staff go through all the medical forms and get you those answers right away, either before the pre-camp meeting or during the pre-camp meeting. That way you can have the extra time to go through and get things, fixed or a physical scheduled or whatever.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, real quick. We're at 46 minutes past the hour. This is big. Week 1, we typically get the medical forms on the Wednesday prior to your arrival. So we have 3 days to turn and burn 150 medical forms. And then we get hit with another pile that night for week 2. The nurse Becky Lentry, who is a longtime friend, has agreed to come back this year. She really asked me to focus on this. And so we want the forms 14 days prior to your arrival, even for week 1. I see Mr. Hodges looking like he's in pain down there, but we need it, Mr. Hodges. We need those medical forms. Okay, good. It's not the medical form. Good. It's a big ask. I know it is. It's a change. But if we can get those medical forms into Becky's hand during staff week, day 2, she can have that processed. And so when Wednesday comes, she can be working on week 2, so we can cruise through and make it a smooth check-in. So for the folks who've been coming to camp for a long time, this is a change. And I'm asking you to please comply and get your medical forms in, and do not mail them to Rutland, mail them to Camp Wanocksett in Dublin. 14 days prior to your arrival, they should be there. So you should mail them 18 days prior. Let's keep going.
All right. 10 days before we have that pre-camp meeting, except for week 1, right? Week 1 is only a couple of days before your arrival at camp.
And this is a Zoom.
Yep.
If you want to come to camp, come to camp. You can sit in front of us on the Zoom, but we have troops from all over the region. And so this will be a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, again, feedback, things we learned from last year. People liked the Zoom option. You can also start at that point at the 10-day out mark at your pre-camp meeting, signing up for the virtual pre-camp check-in. For the week 1 folks, I'll send it out before the pre-camp meeting. That way we have plenty of time to sign up. But for everyone else, it's at the pre-camp meeting. I'll send that link out. And then again, in the 7 to 3 days, week leading up to camp, if you want to do the pre-camp check-in virtually and get your fast pass, it's available. You can do it. Highly, highly, highly recommended. I had openings last year in the morning, at lunchtime, in the afternoon, in the evening, really to work with folks' schedules.
And just because I said it earlier, we'll have a meeting in May, which will be focused on what we need to do to keep safe with regards to health and safety in the pandemic. And we'll talk program there too. we'll have a pre-camp meeting before you arrive the Wednesday before. We saw those dates earlier. So there's 2 meetings still on the agenda before you arrive at camp. We want to make sure you have all the information and that your week is as perfect as it can be.
And then again, this is, we put a checklist on page 7 in the leader's guide of just the things you want to bring to the office, whether you're doing the pre-camp check-in virtually, or you're just coming to the office and doing everything in person. You want to make sure you bring stuff to the office. Sometimes I'll go through the check-in with unit leaders and they'll be missing 1 or 2 items. Other times they're missing almost everything. And I feel bad, turning them away to go chase some paperwork. So there's a checklist on page 7. All the things you need to bring with you. Here's a quick snapshot of it. But of course, the first thing you need to do, make sure before you even come to the office, is make sure all of your kids and adults have either arrived or they're on the way. We want to make sure that there's no chance of a no-show. We don't want any possibility of a scout with any sort of custody challenges in the family. Mom saying, yeah, dad can bring him to camp, or vice versa, and the kid doesn't show, and that's not good. So we want to make sure that they're either all there or they've all left home to come up to camp.
These slides, are they?
We're going to send these slides out to everybody along with the video for.
All right, so the video and the slides will go out, and this is yours.
We're almost to the end. Don't forget, I mentioned it in the chat. Send your questions to Grace. I know she's got some that she can get to us towards the very end. Some tips as you approach the season, right? In the next couple of months, you should start really thinking about camp. Make sure you have 1 adult designated in your unit as a summer camp coordinator. It's also really good to give a youth the responsibility for organizing the youth side of the house for camp, right? So have it be an adult and a youth. It's a good leadership opportunity. It's not an official position, but it's a good thing to give a kid some experience with logistics. We'll send out that email verification in the coming week or so. Please respond to it. Please let us know that, yes, you're the right person. Yes, it's the right week. How many kids you're roughly going to bring. Danny mentioned it earlier. The unit pays camp, not the individual families. Make sure that you're submitting the check from the troop or from the crew to council. We don't want to have a whole bunch of checks going there, either from individual families or like a stack of checks from the troop of a bunch of different families. If there is a refund, it goes back to the troop or the crew, and the troop or the crew handles it. And the reason we do that is because if early on 1 scout has registered for camp and then later on that scout has to back out, but in the same amount of time another scout has registered for camp, to us it's a wash, right? It's a 1-for-1 wash. You can handle the refund internally in the unit. So we'll process the refunds at the end of your week of camp. So it goes back to the unit, and there is a link to the financial submission document. There are about 180 units that come to Heart of New England summer camp programs. It is not fair to Lori or Debbie or Kelly to open up a check, an envelope, and have just a check. Please include the financial submission form so we know which camp it goes to, which unit it should be credited to, what week it is.
That form helps.
It helps a lot.
Last page of
Yeah.
the leader's guide. It's a 3-year-old form. It really helps.
Yep.
Collins made it, gets all credit for that. It's a great one.
We mentioned June 15th. That's the day that we swap things over.
All medical forms to camp, though.
Yep.
All medical forms to camp, not to council office. They got enough going on there. They don't need the medical forms.
Yep. You can do the unit roster online. You can do it on paper. You can email it to us. The details about how to do it is all in the leader's guide. Whatever way you want to do it is the way that will work for us. Will has a registrar who will do all of the stuff on Sunday. We don't pre-register ahead of time.
Everyone
Close
gets their
badges.
first choice, does not matter.
All
And
right.
always copies of medical forms. If this is your first time, copies, and not originals, we must keep them for 7 years or some number. And that's New Hampshire. So let's go to our
If you
chat
have questions,
master.
yeah.
Chat master, a junior at WPI. She's a mechanical engineering major, and she's amazing. So she was a scout craft director last year. A shout out to Grace Audette, the chat master. What type of questions do you have for us?
Alrighty, so I'm gonna start. There were some questions closer to the beginning that I'll just kind of list through. You guys rapid fire, ask a question, you guys can answer it. So our first one, Will, is do they need to show a copy of their vaccination cards?
It's part of the medical form. If they have it, it really helps them if they're exposed. It's not required, but if they have it, it should be part of the medical form. Good question. Keep going.
Okay. Can troops submit med forms electronically?
No, it's a HIPAA violation and it has to be paper and we can't take them electronically.
Cool. Next one we have is just a general question about asking if photos and pizza can be added to the pre-camp checklist. Just a note.
Yeah. We'll handle all that stuff during pre-camp check-in.
Good catch. So if you don't know, on Friday night, we have a great dinner. Then after dinner, we have a campfire. And then the staff works in the kitchen during the campfire, after the campfire, and they make an incredible pizza. We deliver to your site. Every 2 pizzas gets you a free 2 liter of random generic soda. And it's cheese, meat, and vegetarian. And we even have the gluten-free, cheese-free option. Whatever it is, we'll make it. We deliver it. It helps pay for the trip to the beach, the bowling night, the Kimball's night, the Chinese buffet and movie night. It helps keep a staff that works 8.5 weeks happy and healthy mentally and ready to come back for 2023. So this is we pay for the supplies and then the extra gets to go to pay for some events for the staff, helps go to the staff banquet at the end of the year. So great question. We'll add that to the form.
Okay. Next is a question about will we be offering the new merit badge citizenship in the society this summer?
It's not a camp badge. My understanding, sorry, Will, from my reading on it, it's not recommended for camp, and we're going to honor that national request. Is that right, Will?
Yeah, the national office specifically said that it is not a good camp badge. So yeah, we are not going to go.
Sorry, Will, that was program. I got excited. I just read that recently.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
The next one is if they did the New Hampshire DCYF last year, do they have to do it again this year?
Yep.
Next is, are there pre-camp COVID-19 protocols like testing?
No, not right now, but we'll know more in May. So as this winds down and we get more information from the folks who know way more about public health, we'll have a meeting in May, and that's when we'll roll out the 2022 protocols.
Next question is, can troops submit med forms earlier than 14 days in advance?
Yes, mail them to council. Becky will be working. Whoa. Sorry, mail them to camp. Becky will be at camp, sprucing up the lodge and working with Mayo. Camp, not council. Camp, not council on all medical forms. Becky will grab them out of the ranger's mailbox. He'll grab them and make a pile for her and she'll review them.
That being said, like maybe June 1st.
Yes, how about we wait till June 1st for medical
Yeah.
forms so that the ranger's not clearing snow and going through the medical forms. Good question. Thank you. Keep going.
Another question is, how much is a group photo? Is it still $13?
Ooh, that's,
Ooh.
yeah. I don't know this inflation we have. No, we're going to keep it at $13. We had a big adjustment last year. We're going to hold the line there. We're going to break the trend of everyone else.
Is the photo order form in the leader's guide?
It is not, but we asked for one order form for the troop or the crew. So we'll get that updated and added in there. There's, other than really the number of photos, there's no other information that's on the form.
Are food prep people and servers required to wear masks?
As of last year, yes. And my instinct is again, yes.
Another question is the STEM supernova black hole fixed? Not quite sure.
Yes.
Yes.
That one is from Art O'Leary. Thank you, Art. I got your email 10 days ago and politely responded. Last year, we had an awesome program. And in the off season, there was some emails that went back and forth. The program was called Supernova. It's part of our STEM program. Some of the information was sent to the STEM committee for the council. And that a little bit of a delay in us processing it, but we apologize. It's I'm gonna jump on that one. That was a mistake, and we apologize. Keep going, Grace.
Are scouts going to be able to sing during meals?
Wow. So that's a May meeting decision. We did have a little unauthorized singing last year in the dining hall on a few occasions. Remember, we have to follow what the state of New Hampshire says. We have to follow what the Boy Scouts of America says. And so as we get to May, You know, that was one of the rare changes in the dining hall that we weren't seeing, but I'm hoping it's back. Yes.
Next question. Someone else asked a question about med forms, but yeah, they can be sent in starting in June 1st
June 1, to camp.
to Camp Wanocksett. Someone asked, does the adventure card discount apply?
It does not apply if you are a new troop and you're coming to us from Spirit of Adventure. I believe that's where the adventure card is. Reach out to me and we can talk. We know that you're not running a camp. It's unfortunate that that the very large Metro Council is not running a camp. We want to make sure that when you come to Camp Wanocksett or Treasure Valley, and we can talk.
Next question is, where can someone read up on the CDYF check requirements?
That is in the leader's guide. The requirement is if you currently live in New Hampshire, if you're a resident of New Hampshire, or if you have at all in the last 7 years lived in New Hampshire. Vacation time does not count. College time does not count. If you are in either of those camps, the form has to get filled out. It will take about 30 days. The form results come back to you. The weird state law, the way it's worded, you give us the results after that.
So if you've never lived in New Hampshire, you don't need to worry about it.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, so it affects 5% of our population.
We're now going into the lightning round of questions, Grace. It's rapid fire.
Yes. Can out-of-state troops arrive a day early?
Depends on where you're coming from. Reach out to me and we can talk. Within some reason.
Another question is, will the honor campers from last year get their patches this year?
Yes, they were ordered in the fall. We believed they were coming. We waited. We reached out. They had no record of our order. I saw the proof with my own eyes, and within the last 10 days, there's been another order. So you can blame it on a container ship. You can blame it on Will Neville. He had a tough fall. I didn't tell you earlier, he did have a heart attack this fall, not joking. So not only did he get a new liver, he had 2 heart attacks and he messed up the honor camper patches. So we are going to make that right. So they are on their way and they will be mailed out. How'd I do on that, Will? Give me a thumbs up.
Great. I mean,
Don't worry,
it's
that was
true.
authorized. That was authorized earlier. He wanted me to get that word out, so I had to sneak it in somewhere. So use it to get us out of trouble. Honor campers on your way, weeks 3 through 7. We know we owe them to you. You will mail them. We apologize. Keep going. Lightning round.
Alrighty. Can scouts still apply to be counselors at Camp Wanocksett?
Yes, kitchen and maybe a few other positions as they open up, but they need to be 15 plus.
Is Camp Wanocksett still going to have a tap out like normal, or is it still going to be a call out?
Will, do you want to talk about that one or?
I was hoping the lodge advisor would.
We got a lodge advisor,
So,
we got the program.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to probably be a similar call out to what we had last year. That was a change for both COVID, but also just a change in the lodge program. There's no more dance team, unfortunately. The pandemic, unfortunately, kind of killed it. There was only a few left before that, and practices stopped, and it is what it is. So, yeah.
I think just adjacent to that change is the fact that we didn't have families come up last year. And so, all these things pushed it in that direction, and I don't foresee us going back.
Cool. Let's go. What's the next one, Grace?
Are parents coming up on Wednesday nights?
As of now, no. We early input from the adult leaders last year, and early information is to not introduce midweek a vast number of new germ spreaders. And so for another year, we're going to make that decision as of now. I could have punted that till May, but I've already know my decision that it's best from reading the protocols. Another one.
What's the minimum age to work on kitchen staff?
We need an 18-year-old at minimum, but we are also looking for at least one, maybe two 15 to 18-year-olds.
Used to be 16 a couple years ago. That state law changed. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it used to be 16 in the kitchen. Now it's 15, but we want an assistant dining hall director, which needs to be 18. So 15 works in the kitchen, 18 for assistant dining hall director.
That's all.
It's a great question. Great questions. Great
questions. Anyone else have questions coming in? We had a couple kind of silly questions.
I know I got one. This is probably for Will and Rachel. Does the camp offer BSA guard?
Yes, you have to be 16.
Can you take it before you're 15 and get the card signed at 16?
I don't believe so. I had
And
that
it's
confusion
also,
last year.
it's 40 hours, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be.
I always like to hear the full disclaimer. It's 40 hours on the waterfront. It's a substantial piece of work. It's your main event for the week.
Maybe it is 15. Rachel, am I wrong?
I believe it is 16, and it's worded in such a way that it's a prerequisite where it's that and two other things that need to be accomplished before you can actually go and do the requisites for BSA guard.
So you have to be 16 to start the process.
Correct.
Okay, they got rid of a loophole that used to exist. Very good, Rachel.
I got one more question. Maybe it'll, we can sort of wrap things up. If you have any last minute questions, get them over to Grace so she can compile the last couple. The question came in about will the camp trading post be open this year?
Yes.
It will be.
Yes.
We are exploring a pre-order system that will help get more apparel in. We should know in the next couple of weeks what that system looks like and what the deadlines are going to be for that. But the idea is scouts could order online ahead of time and have it ready for pickup when they get there. We're talking shirts and belts and
But don't confuse the crowd.
yeah.
We both envision people walking in
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and having the full experience.
Yeah. The store will be fully open, but we also want, we want to be able to have all the merchandise available for everybody.
We don't know what happened last year, but people brought serious resources to camp and bought serious sweatshirts and t-shirts and belts. It was impressive how much stuff was bought. So I don't know if it was very
Hey,
impressive.
Dan, I just want to
Yes.
go back. I just looked because I got a weird feeling about it. It is 15 to be BSA guard, but to 16 to work on the waterfront. So that's the weirdness. You can get BSA guard at 15, but you can't work on the waterfront until you're 16. So there you have it.
So you could work on it, like my son last year worked on it, obtained it at 15. This year he's 16, he'll be able to work on the waterfront. I knew there was,
Yeah.
I didn't think he got special treatment, so I knew there was something there. Very
Yeah,
good.
no, yep.
And that's legit, 15.
15, and then I believe it's actually a New Hampshire requirement that is keeping them off the waterfront staff
Okay,
till 16, and that was our confusion.
We had another medical one come through to me as Grace is wrapping up the last of the one she's getting. It says, to clarify, do you want the copy of the COVID vaccine card, even if they're listed on the signed medical record from the doctor?
no,
If it's listed on the medical record from the doctor, that's fine. Last year, a lot of our records didn't get to the doctor yet.
right,
I know they are now. So if it's there, it's fine.
right. If you're hitting the CVS for a booster, it may not be on there, so you attach it. But if it's on there, we don't need double dip.
Yep.
Grace, you did a great job. What else do you have for us? This was an amazing meeting, an hour and 2 minutes of talking. We started at
Yes.
8:05. What else do you have?
Another question is about scouts and adults coming to camp to complete their swim certification for high adventure programs. Do they need to bring their forms with them? They weren't
If they're
attending
going in the
camp.
water, they want to go in the water and use the waterfront to do some training before they go to high adventure. You must have a medical form to hit the waterfront. Any physical activity in camp that's exciting, like waterfront tower, you need to have that form.
And we have the form that we can give you for the proof of the swim text check for the high adventure base. So
From the aquatics.
from the aquatics director, yeah.
These are great questions. Last chance to shoot them over to Grace. Everyone's
Yes, another
question-
question is, does camp provide walkie-talkies for adult leaders that are going farther from the main camp?
No, but if you're going farther from main camp, you should be going with our staff members, which will have walkie-talkies that go back to base camp. So if you're going up the mountain, you're going with Wanocksett staff. And if you're going on off-season, like if you're going to the fire department or Sharon Arts Center, you're going with our staff with cell phones. But we're not in the business of distributing walkie-talkies. We have our own radios, and you're welcome to bring your phone with you on those trips.
Another question was just paddlecraft safety.
Yeah, paddlecraft safety, it's actually it's like the most intense of the adult trainings that we could offer. If you want to do it, shoot me an email at program@Camp Wanocksett. There isn't going to be a scheduled time for it. So, at camp, we often have Trek on Safety at Scoutcraft at Tuesday at 3 or whatever it is.
Safety of boat, safe swim defense.
Yeah,
Always.
but paddlecraft safely is like a 12-hour commitment. So we don't put it on a schedule. If you're very interested about, before you go to a high adventure or something, let me know and we will try to accommodate it.
Another question is Wi-Fi available at campsites?
No,
No.
So
That's all the
folks-
questions I have so far. If anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to send them in the chat.
folks, it's really great to see all of you. I can't wait to be at camp. It's been a long slog, but we had a great time last year. And so if you have questions, I'm doing a better job. Keep it up with my email, director@camp.wanocksett.org. I'll get back to you quickly. I picked up a new phone. I can read my emails, see in my recliner at night. So I'm really doing a better job. We want to make sure that you have all the information. We want you to bring all the scouts that you possibly can. And we're looking to have over 100 troops at Camp Wanocksett for the summer of 2022. And if you know of another troop, we do have those 9 to 10 sites open. And please be safe and return to camping as soon as you can with your troops if you haven't already. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone. You scroll through the can we go back and forth? I only get to see these.
Thank you to all the people who gave me well wishes after Danny told you I had a heart attack.
Yeah, that was not a joke, Will.
I know it wasn't.
Yeah, I
I'm the
know.
one that had the heart attack.
You got a new liver and you don't even drink alcohol. That was a challenge. And then you had the heart attack, but you're back, you're healthy, you look great, and you've got full medical clearance. Oh, what a crowd.
Yeah, 107 tonight.
Yeah, I saw Mr. Geary. That was good to see. Great picture for 20 Littleton, the background band. That's a nice shot. I like that. Mr.
All right.
Hodges, we've got everyone here.
Our emails
Thanks,
are there.
everybody.
Info@Camp Wanocksett goes to all of us. So you can use that as a kind of a generic catch-all for 4 or 5 of us. If you have specific questions for any of us, our emails are there. We will send out the slide deck as well as the YouTube video once it's posted in the coming days, along with that checklist or the verification of the dates.
We'll do better, Mr. O'Leary, with the black hole of paperwork for that STEM program. And Heather, thank you again. for
That's
that
on me.
piano.
Art, that's on me.
That's all of his mom gave us the piano.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Thank
All
you,
right, folks,
everyone.
be
Bye.
safe. We'll see you again in May at a pre-camp meeting around COVID and then before at camp 10 days prior. Good meeting.
Yeah. Stop the recording.